So, UTAU, what is it? It's a program by NWP that's made solely to analyze files from UTAU, primarily as it says in the manual. Anyway, the thing about utawaview is that unlike Oremo and Setparam, it does nothing for your voice bank. What it does is just analyze files created by UTAU. The thing about utawaview that makes it special, though, is that it actually, you don't have to save the file. You don't have to render the file. You don't have to save it. All you have to do is press play and it'll pop up here. Anyway, we'll go over how this works real quick. There's the file where you get to choose what target wave file you're using, or the parent or the parent folder. And what that lets you do is simply pick which temp file you want utawaview to analyze. Now you can also load specified initialization files and save your current ones. That, for most people, if they keep the default setting, they'll never have to think about it, because when it's set to the default, your initialization file is going to be saved every time you log out. Well, shut it down. And then there's exit. Then there's time zoom. Do not fit to UTAU timescale. Every time I click it, it shuts down my computer. Not my computer. It just kills utawaview, and it is no fun. Anyway, you can't see it. I'm sorry for that, but it's just different zoom settings. You have the zoom rate. You can choose the zoom rate settings. I'm not really sure why it's such a big number, but you can just choose how zoomed in you want to be. Like, this is times 10, and this is times 100. But the thing about that is you don't really need that, because all it takes is clicking these buttons up here, and you can zoom in and out as much as you want. But you can choose X1, so if you had zoomed in and you want to see the whole thing, you can choose something that'll snap it so that's all on the screen. And then there's time axis, still can't see it. And this is just where you choose between if you want seconds or musical bars. Seconds just has this axis in seconds, so you can see what's happening at a specific second. But the default is musical bar, and musical bar is way more helpful. And here you can offset how many seconds you want. Well, to offset the WAV file, I don't really see as big of a reason for using that. But the tempo is really important, because part of what this does is use boxes as opposed to dragging to snap the selection to. So if you set this to 90 and apply it, it moves the bar, it moves the indication of where the musical note thingy is. I'm sorry. So if you change the tempo in UTAU to 90, it was at 120, and press play, waiting. You'll see that now each quarter note is divided by 90 BPM. You know what I mean? So that's that. And just like in Oremo and Set Param, there's show waveform, show spectrum, show power, show FO. If you don't want to see one of them, or you do want to see one of them, you just gotta click waveform, spectrum, power, FO. And then there's always on top, which, just makes it always in the foreground. Transparent window, which is really cool, just makes the window more or less transparent. All right, now options. Grid size, and I'm sorry you can't see this. You can choose what size you want the grid to be. It's BPM on quarter notes right now, so that means that there's a line between each quarter note. But you can change the grid size to half note. Wait, grid size. This isn't doing anything. Oh, okay, yes. So you see, it is set to 8th note right now. So you can see that these lines still mean 1/4 note. But because of the fact that you set it to 8th note, that means that you can make 2 8th notes in each quarter note. Whereas if you set the grid size to half note, you can make that, and kind of self-explanatory. I'm sorry if it's not. And if you choose don't snap to grid, you can just have a party making it whatever size you want. Now you're probably wondering, well, what are those boxes? These boxes are your selection. They select what's going to play. You can have as many on your screen as you want at one time, and each time you press one, it plays that section. And to remove them, just press just right click them. And if you have a bunch on the screen and you don't want to bother right clicking all of them, just delete all boxes. All right. So that's the show menu. Wait, no, that's the options menu. All right. So there's grid size, just did. Set wave file check interval. All this is how often it checks to make sure that the wave file hasn't changed. If the wave file has changed within that time, it'll automatically update. Pretty much it. This is how often you want it to check for it. Audio I/O settings. Just same as Oremo Set Param, just set it and try to keep it at default because it's just a good idea. And then there's advanced settings. Oh man, advanced settings. When I was translating this, I had the hardest time with the advanced settings because I don't know what half of these mean. You can change the color of the waveform, you can change the color of the spectrum, you can change some really weird technical stuff. Maximum frequency allowed on the spectrogram, the brightness of the spectrogram, the contrast of it. I have no idea what FFT length is. Window width has something to do with FFT. Pre-emphasis is something I did understand. There's more powerful frequencies in the lower register, so it's hard to really tell there's anything in the upper register without pre-emphasis. And pre-emphasis, all it does is, and you don't hear this, it is only used in calculating the spectrogram, the power, and the FO, not just the spectrogram and the power. And it emphasizes the higher frequencies so that it can better display them. And the window type, it's the shape of the frequency, the shape of the window. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry. Anyway. And then there's power. You can change the color of the curve. And then there's things I actually don't really understand. And then there's pitch. You can change the color settings, and you can choose the analysis algorithm. There are several of them, and I don't know. I really don't know. And then there's sampling frequency, window width, and you can choose between semitone and hertz, and you can also show key grids. The thing about choosing between semitone and hertz is that semitone allows you to see the piano roll. So that's what I'd use. If you'd prefer hertz, choose hertz. And then there's the default I told you about with the initialization files. Here is where you enable or disable it. It is enabled by default, and it saves the current settings when you close the program. You also, here is where you set the file path for UTAU, and behind it is where you set the file path for an external editor, such as a Audacity or Sound Engine, so that you're able to, well, open the file automatically in one of those editors. And then there's help, which is just the version, the official web page, and the official download page. The web page might be wrong because, but yeah, there's that. And then there's the tool icons. Play and stop. Play the file, or stop the file. Zoom in button zooms in, zoom out zooms out. Reload makes sure that the WAV file hasn't changed. And call UTAU. Left click on it, it'll open UTAU if it isn't already open, or it'll bring it to the front if it is open. If you right click, it opens the external editor you set. I don't have one set, so I can't show you. The time display shows the last time the file was updated, and the monitoring time here tells you how long it takes between checks. And you can also change that here. These are two different buttons, but they do the same thing. Anyway. And then, next in the manual, because I'm actually reading this from the manual, when you right click, there's time zoom, like there was before. You can finally read it. Grid size, delete all boxes, show and hide, and preferences, which is just advanced settings. Anyway, I actually didn't realize this, and I really feel like it bears saying again because I was completely confused. Even when you set it to triplets, even no matter what you set it to, these lines are always these lines down in between the notes are always going to be set to quarter notes. And yeah, that is the right click menu. Alright, now the button with the bar or second up in this corner underneath file, when you left click it, it switches between seconds and bar. When you right click it, it opens the time axis settings, where you can change the tempo and offset, and if you want it to be bars or seconds. The time axis, when you click it, it plays the file from that location. And I don't have a scroll wheel, so I can't show you that when you scroll your scroll wheel, the waveform is scrolled left and right. And Control plus scroll wheel scales the waveform horizontally, and Control Shift plus scroll wheel modifies the width and height of the panels. So maybe if I had a scroll wheel, I'd be able to change the width and height of the panels. And I am so dumb. I just realized that all you have to do is click and drag, and these boundaries are changed. You can resize them. I am sorry for being stupid. And then there's the key operation shortcuts. I just might as well pull this over here for now. Yeah. Pressing space plus Control P or 5. Pressing space, pressing Control plus P, and pressing 5 play from the beginning or stop it. Pressing the right arrow, 6 or 1 or D, scrolls the waveform to the right. Left arrow or 4 or H or A scrolls the waveform display to the left. Control plus R or F5 manually check for file updating, because, refresh, F5. Q or W jumps to the beginning of the waveform. In uppercase U, which would mean Shift U, captures the display from UTAU and sets the scale to the same as UTAU's, which, if the button from the time scale taught me anything, I don't think that I could do that without crashing UTAUaview, but I might be weird. F11 zooms out and F12 zooms in, and Alt plus F4 will exit you out of the application. Alrighty. So now that we got the keyboard shortcuts out of the way, when I was translating it, it was constantly talking about the selected playback region and linking to it. So I actually got really psyched out about it. So selected playback region is just making boxes, clicking on them to play it, and that's it. You left click to make the box, you right click to erase it. If you grab the box by the corner and pull it out, you'll make it bigger or smaller. And if you click and hold and move it around, you can move it. Alright, and it's the same. It has all the same rules as before. You select the grid size and you make your boxes. Now, I don't know what purpose this serves or if it's supposed to do that, but you can make boxes all over the place and it doesn't change anything. And I already explained advanced settings, and here's something that probably you don't need to know this, because unless something goes wrong, you'll generally never have to change the UTAUaview settings by hand. But you can change them by hand, and I'll do the whole pulling this over here thing again. Sorry. You can change the file. In the settings file, you can change the file path to UTAU. You can change the file path of the wave being monitored. You can change how often your UTAU is looking for a new WAV file, and you can change the setting for if UTAU WAV file actually saves your setting at the end. And I had no idea what he was trying to say with the file history and pdir history or whatever, because I understood that it has the monitored files history. I just didn't know what the question mark numerical values meant. But anyway, that is basically it. And under other functions, it says dragging and dropping a WAV file in utawaview will cause the files to be monitored. Anyway, yeah, it's a really nifty program, but I don't think a lot of people are going to get a lot of use out of it, because it's just, if you're obsessed with making sure that everything is perfect, you're going to love this. If you just like to plug and play, or, not put too much effort, and I'm not saying that's bad, just not putting insane amount of effort into making sure that every single sample is perfect, then this may not be a big deal to you. But if it is a big deal, I don't know. I hope that this helps someone. It's long and rambly, but I was just trying to keep myself active because I accidentally took my antipsychotics in the morning when you're only supposed to take them at night. So, yeah, hope this was helpful to at least someone. Bye.